Well, hey there guys, thanks for joining us in this video. We have a few hints and tips for you. We'll make it pretty short and sweet, but some stuff that you, if you don't know it, you definitely want to know it. We won't waste it. Well, hey there guys, thanks for joining us here at Rock Hard Riffs. This is the guitar channel for the self-taught. Alright guys, this is another one of those hint and tip videos. I think we have like 5 or 6 of them up to this point. I'll put a couple in the description of some prior videos. Take a look in the description. There'll be links in there to those if this interests you. And if you're new to the channel and all this stuff is new to you, peruse through our playlists and watch our videos. And if this kind of content is for you, we ask, hey, please subscribe. We really appreciate that. We're trying to build this channel, and we need your help to do that. Some basic things, guys, boy, I found out the hard way. Let me ask you, what is this? That's a guitar cable, right? Or is it? First glance, you really can't tell the difference between a shielded and unshielded cable. Now, what's the difference? Okay, this happens to be, yes, this is a guitar cable, but it could easily be like a speaker cable. Okay, now you don't want to confuse them. And they both have the 1/4-inch jack. They look just the same, but you need to tell if you're going to the guitar store or whatever. You know, hopefully they'll ask you, or maybe not. But you know, what's that for? Guitar to amp? Okay, you need a shielded cable. Amp head to cabinet, you need an unshielded cable. And, you know, I learned this one the hard way a long time ago. We're on the desert. We were in a park here in the Phoenix area. It's called Papago Park. We were playing a gig or whatever. And I had my little separate amp head. I think it was a custom amp, and I had a Marshall bottom to it. And we were gigging, and our bass player was getting chased by a scorpion, and then all of a sudden my amp blew up. All of this happened at the same time. It's like, wow, we got hexed or cursed or something, but... It was just, I found out later I was using the wrong cable by accident from my amp head to the speaker cabinet. Now, why is this a problem? What is the deal? What is shielded versus unshielded? Your guitar cable or instrument cable is low power and high impedance, right? The output from your guitar, the electronics in it are only magnets. So it's very low power. Versus a speaker cable, which is just exactly the opposite, because it's carrying a lot of current. It's high power, low impedance. Now, one of the reasons why you want a shielded cord is because it shields the cable from outside interference, right? Certain frequencies can penetrate or whatever, get into the wire that's in there, and you're going to hear it through your pickups, your amp or whatever. So this shields the cable, the internal cable, from extraneous noise. Right, whereas but again, remember the other one is just the opposite, high power, low impedance. So that's the big difference, and yeah, it can matter. So make sure you check with your guitar place what kind of cable you're using. Okay guys, something else I'm going to show you, and I've mentioned this before on another prior video quite a ways back, but I thought I'd just show it again just in case. Do you have a problem with dust and stuff like that on your guitars and equipment? Well, you know what I do? I use pillowcases. That's an oversized pillowcase that I've got on that telly right there. And we just got these, Mrs. Beans did it like the dollar store, something like that, and it fits perfectly right over your guitar, and it keeps a lot of the dust out. Right? I also use it over my pedals. Yeah, especially like when I'm vacuuming and things like that. You want to keep the dust off, right? Dust isn't good for anything. I also cover my amplifier with it. I put a couple over this Marshall, right? I'm just showing you like this for demonstration purposes. There's my little drum amp. It fits perfectly right over the top of it. And then every once in a while, you just take them outside and dust them off or throw them in the laundry, and away you go. But pillowcases, believe it or not, super cheap, super easy way to keep dust out of your gear, which is really important. All right, guys, guitar picks. You know, I had watched a video a long time ago about from a channel that I used to watch fairly often, and I don't see him too often anymore, but I took this hint from this one guitar channel. I used to use ultra thin picks. This is a super thin pick. This is 0.5 millimeter. Okay, where now what I use are these ultra thick Eric Johnson picks. This thing's like 2 to 3 times as thick as the other pick. It comes to the same point. That is really the biggest issue for me. It's a little blurry there. Is that the point comes to a nice fine tip. And I just barely use the very tip of that pick. But the thickness, you can dig in a lot better and a lot easier with a thicker pick. Now, somebody in the comments section just mentioned not long ago that their left hand, they squeeze too hard, and their right hand is too light. Try a thicker pick. It might help you. And of course, work on loosening your left arm or your left hand. Try to relax that left hand as best you can. And you know how you do that is just through practice. I've got one last thing here to show you guys. I had mentioned this before, but this really is, this could be a big money saver for you, and it can definitely help save your guitar. And that is, you know these guitar stands, they have the rubber, the kind of a cheapish, foamish rubber that's on there? Well, that can actually stick to the finish of your guitar, especially in like a hot and humid, or like in direct sunlight, you know, but a climate that's hot and humid, and with direct sunlight on it. I even do this down here. What these are just old dress socks. Let me take this off and I'll show you. I just took some old dress socks and I cut them. And I just looped them around the bottom there and the top, as you see. So I just cut a hole back here in the sock and then put it on and wrap it around and bring it back. And there it is. The whole thing is basically covered. And it's just a sock. Now, you know, these stands really aren't made for a lot of abuse. These aren't really gig stands. So if you're gigging a lot, yes, you may need a heavier stand. But pay attention to the coating that's on these foam parts and make sure that it's not bad for your finish. There are some expensive stands out there that do have special padding on there that won't leach onto your finish. But, you know, just for home use, you don't need to spend that kind of money for that. I don't. I'm not going to spend money on that. So I just put some socks on there, something that's just 100% cotton. I keep them, of course, out of the sun. Keep all of my gear out of the sun when and if and at all times possible. That's basically it, guys. Just kind of preventative maintenance to your gear can save you a lot of money. I mean, if dust gets into your amp, really bad dust and stuff, you know, it can get into those leads, and your amp could go out, and it could just have been just from some overwhelming dust in it, right? And your pickups and everything can get gunked up and gummed up on your guitar. Just cover it if you have a dust problem. Like here in Arizona, we have nothing but dust and dirt. So it's pretty important to keep these things covered. And make sure you protect your guitars through the stands and all that, and make sure you use the right cables. Super important. I found out the hard way. Hopefully you don't. Alright guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next video.